to our Wednesday night discussion group where we are continuing in the book of Proverbs. And I think, folks, this is like 32nd group discussion on the book of Proverbs. We've been in Proverbs for a while, and we're over halfway there, which is good. Tonight we're starting in chapter 19 and verse 1, and we'll see how far we can get. But before we begin, Virginia has volunteered to open us up with prayer. So thank you, Virginia. Take us away.
Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to study your word. We ask that you will give us the wisdom and the understanding that we need as we read the scriptures. We thank you, Father, that you have brought us back together again, healthy. And we just thank you for blessing us to be able to study your word and grow together as one. We pray, Father, for light and discernment as we go through the scripture and proverb. We give praises and honor to you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
That was beautiful.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Virginia. Light as we in discernment as we go through the scriptures. Beautiful. Well, let's shed some light on these scriptures. We're going to start in verse 1, and I invite you to open up whatever translation you have before you. And this is a participatory discussion group, so I need you to chime in with things that you have in front of you, different translations, commentaries, personal experiences where you've seen this to be true. That's what brings this study to life. So I'll read it in the NIV first, and then as you all share, I will try to summarize our thoughts. So 19 verse 1, better the poor whose walk is blameless than a fool whose lips are perverse. Seems kind of obvious, doesn't it?
Oh, Mark.
Better the poor whose walk is blameless than a fool whose lips are perverse. So anybody have a different translation that would shed more light, or is this just like as obvious as it sounds? Yes, Joan.
The New Living says, better to be poor and honest than to be dishonest and a fool.
Oh, okay. So they substitute honest and dishonest. Is that how you're?
Yeah, better to be poor and honest than to be dishonest and a fool.
The Passion uses the word honest too in both places.
Is that right? Okay.
The New King James uses integrity and perverse.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Better is the poor who walks in his integrity than one who is perverse in his lips and is a fool.
Perverse. Yeah, I wonder what that perverse, because you're saying the New Living Translation just uses dishonest instead of perverse.
Mm-hmm.
And so does the Passion, Carol? Are you saying Passion uses dishonest?
Yes, it says better to be honest, even if it leads to poverty, than to live as a dishonest fool.
Okay.
The Voice
talks
about live with integrity.
Which one is that?
That was the Voice.
The Voice uses integrity. Okay.
Yeah.
And the New King James uses integrity.
Yeah.
But then it says better to be poor and live with integrity than a fool with a foul mouth.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
Perverse.
Robert should take stock.
Oops, we heard that.
Sorry. Well, it's just that, his constant.
Yeah. It's
and
really
I'm constantly saying, stop that, don't talk like that. I don't want to hear that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really so let's step back, and we kind of looked at the words a little bit, but what do you think Solomon, or the writer for Solomon, was trying to say to his son in this? What was the wisdom that he is trying to lift his son up to?
I do want to interject that the Ginsburg Hebrew Bible that and commentary that I'm using from the Sino Press, it says all modern expositors assume that in this verse, fool means a rich fool.
Oh.
And I haven't mentioned that before, but there have been several times in the past where it says fool, but I've read that not in every case, but in a lot of cases, the assumption is a rich fool, especially if there's this idea of contrasting a poor person and their honesty or integrity and another person and their foolishness. It's typically a contrast of poor and rich, honesty, dishonest, integrity, and
Well, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, John?
The message says a rich person no one can trust.
Oh, okay.
No one?
So obviously this is poetry, Stephanie, too. So he's going to use hyperbole, right?
well, it's not
So-
saying you can't trust every rich person. It's a rich person you can't trust, right? there are poor people you can't trust too.
That's
so
true.
it's not the richness that is untrustworthy. It's that
A fool.
oftentimes if you're rich, there's this idea that you're blessed and that you're
Right.
that you're acceptable to God, and you probably are more righteous, you are more blessed, you are trustworthy, but
Sure.
it's a description of a specific kind of a rich person, not a
Got it.
blanket statement about rich
Okay.
people. Yeah.
Is it worse to be a poor fool or a rich fool?
Oh, Carol poses an interesting question.
Oh, now you're on a topic.
Is it worse to be a poor fool or a rich fool? Well, anybody have a thought on that?
Well, if you have to be a fool, you may as well have money.
Well, if you're
That's the way
I
I
would
was
just,
thinking.
I would say, I would disagree with that
I'm
because
being
I know you're being funny,
kind of.
but think about money. What does money give people?
Power.
Power. So if you're a powerful fool, you're going to hurt a lot more people than a poor
Yeah.
fool. I guess
Yeah.
that's the first thing that comes to my mind, Carol, when you ask that question. So
That makes sense.
that's a good question though, Carol.
Yeah, it is.
Indeed. Especially in contrasting with poor. So that's helpful, Mark, to when we see the contrast between poor and a fool, it's most likely
Look a little deeper to see
poor
if
and a rich fool,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, none of us want to be a fool. I mean, it's just not good. And we all want to have integrity, right? And be trusted. So, I mean, I think the admonition here is to be honest, to be full of integrity, and don't be like the rich fools who are, perverse or foul-mouthed, and they're running amok and, using their mouths poorly and using maybe even their riches lording over others. So any other thoughts like on what you take from this verse? I think we know from reading along that just having wealth is not wrong. And sometimes poverty can actually lead to desperate crime, right? So I don't know that this is a statement about wealth, as much as it is about the integrity of the person and how they use
Right.
what they have. That's kind of my thought. Any other thoughts before we go to verse 2? Everybody's deep in thought. Okay, verse 2. Desire without knowledge is not good. How much more will hasty feet miss the way? Desire without knowledge. What is desire without knowledge? And why is it not good? Any translations you'd like to share?
Well, you may want something that's not good for you. If you don't have knowledge to know it's not good for you.
Okay. That's good. Virginia, were you trying to say something? I saw your lips moving, but I didn't hear anything. Oh, no.
Not yet.
Okay. don't have knowledge, you might, would you say wish for something that's not good? Or,
Yeah, well, desire.
oh,
is-
desire, right?
Yeah. Or want, which is desire.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
We can desire things that will destroy us.
It's interesting.
And the New Living says enthusiasm without knowledge is no good.
What?
So if you're desiring something that's not good for you, you may go after it with
Okay,
enthusiasm and cause yourself trouble.
that's interesting. That's an interesting picture.
Like Saul,
Enthusiastic desire,
like Saul.
like Saul, like David, right? David and Bathsheba.
Enthusiastic.
That was,
I mean, Saul was enthusiastic and passionate and everything else, but you know,
Yeah,
Right.
he
Wrong.
he did not have a personal relationship with Christ, right? He just,
right.
he didn't have the knowledge or the relationship.
this
And, you know, knowledge, I'm wondering, is knowledge, does anybody have another word besides knowledge here? Because I'm wondering
Yeah, he
what
had
it
all
might,
knowledge.
another
I have a
way.
different translation here, if you want it.
Yeah, sure.
To act without knowing how you function is not good. And if you rush ahead, you will miss your goal. That's from
Okay,
the Complete Jewish Bible.
complete Jewish Bible.
go.
You'll miss your goal. Okay, so
Oh,
they use,
The Apostle Paul mentioned about the Jews. He said, I bear them record, they have a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge.
Oh,
oh, yeah.
Wow.
That was a good one, Stanley. Do
Dang.
anybody know where that is?
No, I don't know.
Zeal.
It's in the New Testament.
Good job. He narrowed it down. Mark, can you look it up? Mark's gonna look it up. I like the zeal without knowledge. That's good. John?
The Message says ignorant zeal is worthless. Along that line.
Romans 10:2.
Ignorant zeal. Romans 10:2. Romans 10:2. Okay. So we're kind of getting a picture here, right? We can be foolish and desire the things that will hurt us and others. And we can be really passionate about it, but if we don't have the knowledge, so I guess fill in the blank there, what that knowledge means,
Yes.
we could actually miss the goal. So
We could be running around like a chicken with its head cut off. That's a little nasty, but that's
it's true,
my mother's.
true.
Don't they do that? And they cut their heads off and they keep running around?
Yeah,
Yep.
yes.
Slaughtered the chicken, so I don't know.
I
I
know
have,
from personal experience. My
Yeah.
brother had chickens.
yeah, I've done it too. Yeah. When
My
I-
dad told me when I was a kid that they had a chicken that they chopped its head off and it ran around for a couple of months and they said they just fed it.
What?
down to the hole.
Oh,
Couple of months.
And of course, I
My
believed him because
word.
I was a dumb kid and I believed
Oh,
him,
my
my
goodness.
dad wouldn't tell me stories. So therefore,
You believed it.
Actually,
one chased me without a head. It
dear.
did. My
That's
brother
scary.
chopped off his head. He had a way he put a log down. He had his own business as a high school. In high school, he had more money than any high school kid raising chickens. And he would put 2 nails in a log and stretch the neck out, the head, through those 2 nails and stretch out the feet and whack. And I was out watching that, and that chicken just ran right at me. And I screamed and ran, and I jumped over the log, and it jumped over the log. It did,
It could jump over the log without having a head.
without a head.
crazy.
It could have been an accident, and it just jumped anyway, but it happened just like that. And nobody believes it,
Oh my goodness.
but I experienced it.
if you go on the internet, I have read about, there was a chicken that had its head chopped off, but apparently there was a little bit of the brain stem left, but it was headless, but it just had this
part of the brainstem left, and it lived a long time.
What?
Wow, I
My
never heard of it.
word.
And I think it was in a circus or something.
I
That
think it
don't
has,
make
Goodness.
I think it has to bleed to death.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Makes sense. Well, I guess we have a picture now of this verse.
Oh,
we have-
I thought you were gonna say a picture of the chicken with its head off.
We have passion,
You know,
without
that's,
knowledge, and we run around like a chicken with our head cut off.
I mean, I hear that all the time, but we had chicken and we cut the head off and they jumped around for a good while and then they stopped.
Well, I guess before we leave this verse, the only question I have is what is this knowledge? You know, the passion without knowledge. And I guess maybe Solomon was just referring to maybe knowledge of God or knowledge of wise ways. What is this knowledge he's saying? Without it, you know, you're going to miss your goal. Your feet will miss the way.
Well, one translation has this idea. It means no purpose.
Oh, okay.
No purpose. It says a comparison drawn between these two, and they use the word reprehensible lines of action. In other words, there's two lines of action here. One who has desire without purpose, and the other who may have a bit of a purpose and they run toward something that's not good. But knowledge could just be no purpose.
Okay.
Like running around with
Like
the
a chicken with your
his
head cut off. Hey, maybe we were more on target than I thought. I thought we were getting off on a rabbit trail, on a chicken trail, but maybe that really does fit here. If we have passion, but we don't have purpose, then we're going to miss our goal. That actually makes sense to me.
Yeah, the word that's used in Hebrew, one of the definitions is discernment, understanding, wisdom. Discernment, comma, understanding, comma, wisdom. So it
For
could just mean
knowledge?
that, yeah, for knowledge. It could-
Oh, okay. That's in the Hebrew.
Yeah. If we act without wisdom, right? We've seen people make decisions or do things and they're just not fully informed. They're not doing it in a wise way. They're doing it quickly or rashly or hastily.
Right.
Yeah. It is interesting. The word desire is nephesh, which
Oh,
in a lot of places in the Bible is translated soul.
Huh.
It says a soul. Let's see.
Desire.
that's Hebrew.
Yeah, the soul without knowledge is not good.
Didn't know that.
But probably one of the definitions
Oh.
of soul, or the definitions of nephesh that's here, because nephesh or soul can also be translated, or the idea of the seat of desires, or
Okay.
the seat of appetites, or the seat of
Okay.
the grounding of emotion. So
Yeah.
so it could,
Kind of like how we talk about having heart.
yeah,
Yeah. Being like,
Or
or the
desire,
will,
yeah.
the desire. That makes
Yeah.
sense. The soul.
like having appetite, not so much in an eating way, but appetites, the desire for something, or our emotions, if we use them without discernment or understanding, could not be good.
How much
Desire
more
without
will-
knowledge
yeah.
is not good.
And I think that,
Well, my translation says it just gets you in trouble. It says enthusiasm without knowledge.
Yes.
So that's the bottom line. You're gonna get in
Bottom
trouble.
line.
You get all this information and with you have enthusiasm about
Mhm.
things, but you're
Yep.
not ready for it, So
yep,
you're gonna make some wrong decisions.
right. And that often happens, right, with youth and without the wisdom and discernment. So, okay, well, very good. That's a good word. Yeah, Lee, did you have something?
This Orthodox Jewish Bible says to be without da'as, D-A-A-S, and da'as means knowledge, rationality, or science. That's
Oh,
what he
that's the
has.
word for knowledge.
Yeah, da'as.
Das, yeah.
Oh, is that Hebrew?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Without and knowledge is kind of combined as one word.
Oh, I think
Dot.
so. That's okay.
Yeah.
I put this on the wrong thing. Hang with me for just a second. So that should be Naphesh is for desire.
Yes. Did you put it
I
on
put it
knowledge?
under, I moved it down to the wrong place. Here we go. So dot DEAS.
DAAS, DA
Space or
space AS. Actually, it's not a space, it's a
Apostrophe.
it's apostrophe. Yeah.
apostrophe. Yeah, that's the
And
word I
that
was looking
means
for.
knowledge,
Without knowledge.
Rationality.
rationality.
So
Wait a minute, I'll look it up again.
Yeah.
Knowledge, rationality, and science.
Oh,
Perception. skill.
Rationality.
okay. And skill. Mark's giving me words here too.
Revelation
Sometimes
Nice.
translated cunning,
hyphen knowledge.
awareness, aware.
Yeah, this is revelation.
Okay. Well, that I think we dug
Good.
into that really
I
well.
think so.
That was good.
10 minutes a verse. We're doing great.
We're doing good. Verse 3, a person's own folly leads to their ruin, yet their heart rages against the Lord. Yet. Wonder why the word yet is in there. Does everybody have yet in theirs?
And
You have and. That makes more sense to me.
then
And
his heart frets against the Lord.
it doesn't seem like an either or thing. It seems like folly leads to your ruin and your heart rages against the Lord. Anybody have a translation they want to share?
Yeah, this is, Passion says there are some people who ruin their own lives and then they blame it all on God.
Oh,
I saw that.
oh,
it's-
oh my goodness, that's good.
the
There are
message is
some-
similar. So
is it similar?
Some people who ruin their own lives.
yeah, the message says people ruin their lives by their own stupidity. So why does God always get blamed?
Yeah.
Or else, you know, we blame
This
God.
is NIV, and it says a person's own folly leads to their ruin, yet their heart rages against the Lord. So
Right.
it just don't make sense.
Yeah, I think the translations you're reading, it makes more sense the and rather than a yet. But I guess I understand. Maybe I understand what they're trying to say in the NIV is that they ruin their lives but they blame God. It's their fault,
Yeah.
not God's fault, right? But he gets
Oh, yeah.
blamed.
The New King James says and.
Oh,
Yep.
does it
And it also says his heart frets against the Lord.
frets like
Frets, correct.
F-R-E-T?
Fretteth.
Fretteth. Oh, it fretteth. Okay,
Like Adam and Eve.
right?
Yeah, they blame God for what happened. You know, Adam blamed God for giving him Eve.
Yeah, he did. She
the
blamed
word sullen might be a word instead of frets.
Sullen.
Sullen. He has a grievance against God for his failure, whereas the cause lies in his own folly.
Okay. Have you ever seen this to be true? In lives, your life or lives of other people around you, or maybe examples in the Bible where somebody runs into foolishness and ruins their life and then they shake their fist at God and blame him for it. It's probably more common than we even know. Yeah, Joan?
What about Cain and Abel? Cain's attitude was wrong when he brought his sacrifice,
Oh,
and yet I think he blamed God.
Yeah, I
He
think
He
did.
killed Abel.
That's-
You know, and then he said, then when God confronted him, well, you know, am I my brother's keeper? You know, what did I do? So he still
Mhm.
wasn't taking responsibility for his actions.
right. Yeah.
I was thinking about Job's wife. She told him when he was so miserable, curse God and die.
get
Right.
it over with.
Right. Good example, Carol. Yeah. Curse God and die. God's done you wrong. Curse God and die. Good examples. Well, and I think we probably see it a lot in real life. You know, if you hung around, you know, people who maybe don't know God personally, it would be easy to blame him for not fixing our problems the way we want him to. And we even can be guilty of that sometimes, right? Just we pray for something and then God allows things to happen in our lives, and then we get upset that he didn't do it the way that we thought he should. So I think it's a very common thing. I think this is the extreme version of that, though. Any other thoughts on this? Verse 3. Okay, on to verse 4. Wealth attracts many friends, but even the closest friend of the poor person deserts them. And I'm gonna move this down so we can. So when I first read this, I was like, what are they trying to say? And so I looked it up in the commentary, and it says, the fact that wealth makes many friends is proof of the innate selfishness of the human heart. The poor man is separated from his friend because the latter wants only friendships that will benefit them. And then that made more sense to me. So I'm going to put that in here. That's just from a commentary. Does anybody have another? Oops, I put it in the wrong box. Okay, now we have 2 in the wrong box. Try that again. Oh, I know why. It's because my cursor's up here. There we go. Okay, so does that make sense to all of you? Or do you have a different take on that? That's just one of the commentaries I read. It's basically saying that it's just a statement of human nature that many people want friendships that will benefit them. And if it doesn't, then they're gonna
Obviously, they're not a friend.
yeah, right. Yeah, define friend, right? Friend of a poor person deserts them because they can't, there's no benefit, right, to being a friend to a poor person. I don't know, that I think that summarizes it. Does anybody else have something to add to that? Not much. That, by the way, was from the Believer's Bible Commentary. So I should probably give credit for that. Believer's
ABC.
Bible, BBC Commentary.
One
Okay.
by the one by William MacDonald.
Let me see. Maybe. It's so small I can't. Oh, yes. William MacDonald. Do you have that one?
Okay, I have that one. My
Nice.
daughter gave it to me.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm using Bible Gateway, and we pay a small
$3.99.
$3.99 a month and get access to all the commentaries.
Well, all the
Okay, not
commentaries?
all the ones they have. So it's helpful. It's very helpful for this group and also for Bible Study Cafe
And sermon prep.
and sermon prep, right? Okay, verse 5. A false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will not go free.
This is one of these. This is one of those. Well, wait a minute. I know a lot of.
I know somebody who
I know a
lied and
lot
got
of
away with
people
it.
who- yeah.
Well,
So yeah, what's being said here? Go free from who? Go free from the law? Go free from God? Go free from themselves? Like who are they getting away from? Who's going to minister the punishment? And who is Solomon talking about to his son? What's he trying to say to his son? Maybe he's just trying to say, don't be a liar. Don't be a false witness.
This matches verse 9.
It matches verse 9.
because I think he's saying in the long run, when all is said and done,
Yes.
they're not going to go free. They're not going to go unpunished. You might in the,
Yeah, you might in the short term,
right.
but don't make it a habit of being a false witness or a liar, because
It all
Eventually-
comes out in the wash,
Eventually it will catch up with you. Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's great. Any other comments on this?
well, this commentary uses the word perjurer, so you get a sense that
Oh,
it's
yeah.
in
Court
it's in
system.
it's in a legal environment.
Or I don't even know how to spell that. Anybody?
PERJURER.
ROR. RER. Perjurer. Okay. Oh, Lee, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm right along there with Mark. I've been working on the 10 Commandments for our Saturday Bible study group. And giving a false witness has to do with legal, accusing somebody in a court of law or their court. And the priests and the judges are to determine whether his testimony is correct or not. If his testimony is not correct, they determine that his testimony is not correct, then he is given the sentence as if he were the one that had done the wrong.
Oh boy.
In other words, if he accused somebody else of murder and it was adjudicated that the person did not murder, then the person with the false witness would get the sentence of a murderer.
Wow.
Which we kind of know what that was back then.
That's
Yeah.
That's intense. So Solomon's trying to warn his son, like, this is not good.
Yeah.
You
Not
bring a
hardly.
false claim against somebody and you're in contempt of court. No, that wouldn't even be contempt of court. Perjury. Yeah, you're committing perjury, lying to the officials. You might take on the punishment that your accusation would bring on, right? Am I saying that correctly? Yeah, that's good, Lee. Thank you. That helps. That really helps. I mean, we have to remember Solomon is trying to train up his sons, whoever's reading this, to be a leader. And this is part of leading, right? Being over the court system. Okay, verse 6. Many curry favor with a ruler, and everyone is the friend of one who gives gifts. Once again, human nature, right? He's telling a leader, he's telling his son, as you grow to be a leader, people are going to curry favor with you. They're gonna, we have different words that we use in our vernacular: kiss up, brown noser. There's some
Watch out for flattery.
flattery. Yeah, just people will, and that's not very ethical, but they will try to ingratiate themselves to people who have power and money so that they can get, I mean, we see it in our political system all the time, right? And everyone is the friend of one who gives gifts. So back to the selfishness, right? Where did we see that before? In verse 4, right? Wealth makes many friends.
Yep.
I think we saw it even earlier too about, maybe with the rich and the poor thing. So I think we're seeing a theme here in this chapter about our innate selfishness causing us to want to be friends or give favor to people who can give something to us.
Right.
And quite frankly, it's inside all of us, right? To do that without the Spirit of God transforming our character, we tend to want to go to the powerful ones, the rich ones, the pretty ones, the people that have, that we elevate and respect. And nobody wants to go sit with a homeless guy who smells like urine, right? I mean, like, what are we going to get from him? What can he give us? So I guess, at the very core of it, we could do some soul searching on our own part and ask questions like, do we ever selfishly curry favor or give attention or be a respecter of persons towards somebody who can give us something or can't give us something? And that's all James, right? Isn't James about that? Yeah.
Wouldn't it depend a lot on what you're asking for of that friend? If it's something that's good, if it's something beneficial to the community, that would not necessarily be a bad thing.
True.
If you're, I don't know, if you're looking for a place to keep church and you find somebody that has the knowledge and know-how to be able to find that place, that wouldn't be bad of currying that person's favor. That would benefit the community. if it's for yourself, then that's not necessarily good.
Right, okay, so Lee's saying it depends on the motives.
Right.
And didn't we talk about this last week? Oh, I don't think you were here, Lee. We talked
Oh.
A lot about
last week. I'm gonna
Maybe
scroll.
before. I don't-
Don't try and find it.
well, it's
Okay.
just-
It might take too long. But we there was a verse that talked about how you should give a ruler, or it was expected to give a ruler a gift. Do any of you remember us talking
Mhm,
about that?
Yeah, because we talked about Mr. Armstrong and his Steuben crystal.
Right, we talked about how that was probably the tradition of the day would be, you come before a king, you better have a gift to give him, right?
Tribute.
A tribute, yeah, tribute, I think was the word. So you're right, Lee, if somebody could help you accomplish a good motive, something good for the whole, right? The common good.
Chapter 18, verse 16.
Thank you. Proverbs 18, verse 16. So yeah, that was last week. Let's see if I can, I'm just gonna go look at our notes real quick. We said, a gift opens the way and ushers the giver into the presence of the great. And we kind of unpacked that. The right gift at the right time. A gift is a generous gift. Presence of the great is an important person. This is good advice for the king's son. It was tradition, expected, perhaps it was even required. This verse is an illustration in how the sages dealt with earthly, worldly wisdom, dealing with other cultures. So if you were a king of Israel and you went to deal with the Amorites or the Moabites or something, you might bring a tribute. That's just how you do business. So
And in
maybe
their day, in Solomon's, what they do, they gave a daughter as wife.
that's true.
In order to gain, protection or whatever. That's how he got so many.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, Stephanie. I never quite thought of that. The notes on Proverbs 18:16. I was painting this to be a terrible bad thing, right? Bad motives, selfish motives, and maybe not. Maybe
it is contextual and situational.
okay.
The literal
Yeah,
translation of the Hebrew of to entreat the favor, or what is it in curry favor, is to smooth the face. So it's a word that and it's rarely used in this way in the Bible, but it means to mollify, to appease, to entreat the favor, literally make the face of anyone sweet or pleasant, to be sweet or pleasant, to induce him to show favor in the place of wrath or chastisement. And so there is a little bit of a nuance of I'm going to blow smoke up your skirt. I'm going to be nice to you so I can get what I want. But it may not necessarily have to mean that, every time, because sometimes you gotta play nice so you can get help for your cause.
Right.
There's nothing wrong.
Haven't
with
you ever
that.
been in
Yeah.
a situation where everybody's getting impatient with a clerk or something and you are kind and they treat you better because you treat them better? So back to Lee's example
Motivation, it's the motivation.
It's the motivation of your heart and why would you curry favor with a ruler, right? Or why would you be the friend of one who gives gifts? So yeah, I think I'm just gonna bold that. It's really depends on the motives, right? And the
So
situation.
much does come back on motives. We talked a lot about that in our Saturday Bible study.
Okay.
Remember Lee and Joan? And
Didn't we talk about what?
motives, how much
Motives.
motive is at the root of so many things like worshiping idols.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And isn't that difficult for the person who's watching what's happening?
Oh, you can judge it.
Yeah, you
don't know what their motive is.
Yeah, you don't know what their motives are. Some currying of favor may look exactly the same, but the motives are quite opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good thoughts. Okay, verse 7. It's 7:39, and hey, we might make it to 10. Who knows? Not 10 o'clock p.m., but diverse. Didn't want to scare you all. Okay, verse 7. The poor are shunned by all their relatives. How much more do their friends avoid them? Though the poor pursue them with pleading, they are nowhere to be found. Anybody have another translation that they would like to read? That's
Mine says, all the brothers of the poor hate him. I don't
Oh,
like
boy.
that. I mean, I don't understand that. All the brothers of the poor hate him. I mean, if they're brothers, they're poor too. Why would they hate him?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't understand that.
Maybe he's lazy and won't work or something. The Passion says, when a man is poor, even his family has no use for him. How much more with his friends avoid him?
Oh no. Oh wow. Wow. Can you read that again?
When a man is poor, even his family has no use for him. How much more will his friends avoid him?
Hmm.
The Tanakh says that there's possibly a line missing here.
Yes.
At
Oh,
7C,
There's a fragment.
which because it doesn't balance poetically, it doesn't balance.
Oh,
Yeah, mine says that too, Lee, that there's
Oh, really?
all modern scholars hold that there's a fragment this is a fragment of a separate proverb, the other part of which is lost.
oh,
Oh,
So it makes it complicated to translate.
yeah.
do they don't attempt to explain the
well, you all read the brothers hate, the brothers of the poor hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? And none of you had anything else to say? I mean, there was nothing else that went with that, because mine has another part.
Yeah.
oh, it does?
Yeah, he that pursues words, they turn against him.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You didn't keep going, so I thought, oh, well, maybe that's the part that's
I
missing.
don't have that. I
Well,
don't have that in my NIV.
yeah, I think some of the more modern translations and those that are less Hebraic, I guess, or less Jewish, may not have that line. Does yours, Lee? That third line?
What is it? Can you read it to me? Somebody?
Oh, here it is.
What is the third line?
He may pursue them with words, yet they abandon him.
Well, that lines up with, though the poor pursue them with pleading, they're nowhere
Oh,
to be found.
oh, you're right. It is there. Sorry, I didn't.
It's just kind of switched.
It's just worded differently.
It's worded different.
Though the poor pursue them with pleading, they're nowhere to be found. Yeah.
He that
Okay.
pursues words, they turn against him.
Got it. So
Yeah, but there's something in between that.
there's something missing here,
Missing.
possibly right here.
Yeah, there's something missing in there.
Okay. And we don't know what it is, but looking at this just at the face value, I mean, it could just be an observation of what is. It's not really saying, you know, this is the way we should do it or shouldn't. It's just kind of what happens when people, going back up to previous verses, when people are poor and other people can't really get anything from them, or maybe they're always having to give to them, right? Because they're poor, then they, you know, they, what did you say? They, even his family has no use for him, even his friends avoid him. So yeah, that was passion, right? That was the passion.
The
Yeah.
footnote from the Passion says, the Aramaic and the Septuagint add a sentence not found in the Hebrew. The one who is malicious with his words is not to be trusted.
Oh,
So I don't,
wow.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's what this is
That
too.
doesn't-
Yeah, that's in the footnote of the Passion too, down in the
yeah,
footnote.
that's where I was reading it from, Carol.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm.
So that doesn't line up with the Hebrew Bible?
Well, I don't know. But then again, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it does. It depends on the angle we're thinking this is. Joan, can you read that again?
Yeah,
The
read the
footnote?
Aramaic or read the whole footnote.
The Aramaic and the Septuagint add a sentence not found in the Hebrew. And this quote now, the one who is malicious with his words is not to be trusted, unquote. So I don't know if that clears anything up.
Nope, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's possible too that if there was a missing fragment, that some of the translators, of the Septuagint may have added something that made sense to them.
Mhm.
Because,
be.
yeah,
Notorious for that.
Notorious for
yes,
that,
yeah,
right?
uh-huh, yeah.
Right. They're trying to make sense of it too.
And the reason why I say it doesn't line up, because with that line, it almost makes it like the poor person is the one that's
The bad one,
the bad one,
right?
as
As opposed
as
to
opposed to the family
the
and
family and
friends.
friends, right?
Yeah.
It does change the meaning quite dramatically. So that footnote that you read, Joan, was in Aramaic and in the Septuagint?
Yes.
Okay, not in Aramaic and the Septuagint. Okay. And I
It
may
just
not.
is the Aramaic and the Septuagint add a sentence,
Okay.
not found in the Hebrew.
Oh yeah, that's key. Not found in the Hebrew. Okay.
Does anyone have the Mirror Bible?
Yes.
Mark does. You want to go grab it?
Do we have Proverbs?
Oh, I don't know if we
Yeah,
have.
they might have.
Oh, do we? Yes, that would be a good one to look at. And I can look at my commentary here too and see what it says. The relatives of a poor man often desert him, much more do his friends, give him the cold shoulder. He appeals to them pathetically for help and sympathy, yet they abandon him. So just going with the verses that are visible here. We don't know about that missing, possibly missing verse. And, they do find new pieces of the scripture.
It's only New Testament.
Oh, it's only New Testament.
Not even the whole New Testament. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
okay.
yeah.
Well, we have the Mirror translation, but it doesn't have the Old Testament. So I guess we will move on. Okay. Verse 8, the one who gets wisdom loves life. The one who cherishes understanding will soon prosper. The one who gets wisdom loves life. The one who cherishes understanding will soon prosper. So we're on to a positive admonition here. Instead of, we've been reading a lot of negative, kind of the things we want to stay away from. This is an admonition to get wisdom, right? And
The New King James says, he who gets wisdom loves his own soul.
Oh, okay.
That sounds kind of selfish. I mean, if you have wisdom and wisdom in the Bible tells you to, love even your enemies, then what's this loves his own soul? I mean,
Aren't we supposed to love ourselves?
Yeah. Love your
Love
neighbor.
Neighbor as yourself. If you
yourself,
don't
yeah.
love yourself, you can't love your neighbor.
Well, and that's why it says, I think the translation here in the NIV is loves life. Loves, yeah. If you hate yourself, you're going to treat other people poorly too. I mean, I think, because God is love, he would ask us to love everybody, love him, love our neighbor, and love ourselves. And that's the great commandment. So,
And your enemy.
yeah, even your enemy.
If you could, like if you say love, but you could say he who gets wisdom benefits his own soul.
Oh, benefits. Okay.
There's
Benefits.
kind, there's nice to his own soul.
Right.
I like that.
Self-care.
I
Good
like
self.
that.
Yeah, I do too. So instead of loves, oops, I need to all cap that. Loves the benefits. I like that. The one who cherishes understanding will soon prosper. It doesn't say what way will prosper, but I think if you live out of that motivation of love, it does bring life and it does bring flourishing and prosperity.
If you live out of the wisdom of that God teaches, in other words, the Tanakh, if you live out of those God's teachings, then you will prosper because you won't be making all those mistakes that tend to make your life miserable.
right, making the mistakes that can cause ruin.
Yeah, make your life miserable or can cause
Yeah.
misery.
Very good. Verse 9, a false witness will not go unpunished. Wait, that sounds really familiar.
Verse 5. Yeah. It's a repeat of
Oh.
verse 5.
That's right. You told us it 9. Okay, so a false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will perish. So I'm just going to put a little note here. It says, see verse 5. Okay. Hey, we made it to 10. Woo! Verse 10. It is not fitting for a fool to live in luxury. How much worse for a slave to rule over princes? Oh boy, talk to me about this one. Mom's shaking her head.
What?
Yeah, what are you thinking?
I'm just trying to understand what it's saying.
Exactly.
Oh.
Okay, well, let's sit with that for a second.
The message says blockheads shouldn't live on Easy Street.
Oh, brother.
That's true.
Any more than workers should give orders to their boss. So that's the slave ruling over the prince. Oh.
Oh,
No, I think a fool doesn't know how to use luxury. I mean,
okay.
That's
they
true.
don't know how to, I don't think they fully don't know how to like embrace it or be grateful for it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Share
Well, don't you see this sometimes when somebody wins the lottery and they're not wise with the way they spend their money, and then they just blow it all and then they're
Yeah.
back to living in poverty again?
Right.
Yeah.
I have an example of that.
Okay. Oh, yes, you do.
Yeah, Katie, who got her $1 million settlement from King Soopers, has
Explain
spent all. It's all gone.
who Katie is and who King Supers is.
Katie is was a single mom to the pregnancy center, and I kind of adopted her and helped her out for a couple of years. And then she fell at King Soopers and injured her back, had a lawsuit and got $1 million settlement, which was supposed to cover her medical bills for the rest of her life. And she bought a house, sold it, lost money. And, I lost track of her, but I just heard from one of my other daughters that she has gone through all the money, has nothing left.
You
Just
know what?
breaks my heart.
I
That
heard
should have,
Yeah.
put it in, invested it. She could have lived off the interest
interest.
and
That
still
would
have
be wise.
principal. And she didn't
Yeah, actually, Rose.
want anybody to tell her what to do. That was the part.
Right. And isn't that the definition of a fool,
Yeah.
Somebody that won't listen to the wisdom and correction of others. And Rose just told me that Rose helped her with moving expenses. So she could, yeah. Isn't that crazy? She's back to borrowing money from people. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and somebody maybe who doesn't have a lot, if they manage it well, can do well. They can make it work, make it stretch. So blockheads shouldn't live on Easy Street. Any more than workers should give orders to their boss. That's just so well done. Anybody else have a thought on this?
Well, I know in my own case, I grew up not having very much, and I learned how to make ends meet without very much income. And now that I do have more income, I'm still in that same mode of I look for the cheapest way to get, if I'm buying deodorant, I look for the cheap one, I do the cheap one that will do the job. So But that's just me now, because that's the way I grew up.
You're very frugal.
Mhm.
And that's why you're in the position you are, to be able to help so many people, because you've
Yep,
been a
yep.
wise steward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's blessings in that.
There is. It's a lot of
Other
fun.
than for you. Yeah,
It's fun to be able to do that.
isn't it?
Yep.
Virginia, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I have learned, yeah, I did. I've learned to, when I write a shopping list to go shopping, supermarkets, I learned to get what's on the list and not just go in there because I have extra money to just grab anything.
Yeah.
Because when I finish, I have a whole lot more than I went in there for. So
Right.
I lack wisdom there. But
Mm,
I think another reason is I grew up with not too much, we large family and we had to, be sharing a lot. But anyway, when you don't have anything growing up and when you get your money, you don't know how to spend it. You don't have the wisdom to spend it. And that happens to a lot of us.
Yeah.
We grew up poor, you got a good job or maybe some money come in and you just don't know what to do with it, but
And you
spend
go
it. And
crazy.
when it's all over, you have nothing that you really
Yeah.
needed. So I try to get quality things, but I try to be wise when I do that.
it's a great point, Virginia. What Lee had was not just that he didn't have resources. Somebody taught you, Lee, how to be a wise manager of your money. Because you're right, Virginia, sometimes when you don't have a lot but you have no training on how to manage it, and then you get a lot, then you blow it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
Never
example.
mind.
Well, should we call that? Should we try and do one more, or should we call it a night? We have 3 minutes left. Yeah, we'll end in 10. We got 10 done when we did chapter 18. We did 10 the first night as well. So let's see, how many do we have left? Let's look. This one goes to 29. So that means we have to do 19 verses next time if we want to finish chapter 19 in one sitting. But we can do that.
Do we have to?
No, we don't have to. Good word, Mom. We're not in a rush. We keep saying that, but then I keep trying to move us on.
Well, and sometimes, some of the scriptures, I mean, we delve into deeper and we talk about them longer. And so, some they're easy, simple, right to the point, and
Yeah,
go right through 'em.
or we managed a verse just like it, so we can skip over it. Yeah. Yeah, we're not necessarily in any hurry, but at the same time, I'm looking forward to seeing what's next after Proverbs. So I'll keep us moving, but I won't rush us. How's that? Okay, so would anybody like to close this in prayer? And anything that maybe struck you from the study tonight that you just want to pray over everybody? Bless us with wisdom instead of foolishness, or
John?
Thank you, Joan.
We just thank you, Father, for bringing us together tonight. And we thank you, Holy Spirit, for being with each one of us and inspiring us and giving us the thoughts that you want us to share. So we thank you for the time we've had together. And may we all look at our own lives and see where maybe we are foolish in some areas, that we should listen to other people and take wise counsel so that we make the right choices and that we can be a benefit to all those around us. So we just thank you for bringing us here tonight, and thank you for this group, and look forward to meeting again next Wednesday. So we give you praise and thanks for all you do in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Beautiful. Well said. Okay, well, I will stop recording, but please feel free to stay on and look at baby Leo, which is what we're all going to do anyways.